Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
We want to welcome you to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show. It's a free service that provides citizens that are print challenged, that are blind, visually impaired, those that are deaf blind, those with certain forms of dyslexia, and can now have free access to a service to read newspapers, magazines, TV guide listings, job listings, and a plethora of other information which we'll share with you. Please pay attention to our commercials as they have a lot of the information that we need to share with you. Get that information and give us a call about this free service that's provided through the National Federation of the Blind. We have 490 newspapers across the country, and we also have 15 international newspapers. So if you wanted to read international news, which is in English, you can read from China to Jerusalem, to Japan, just all over the world. You have this access free right there at your fingertips. Some people use the landline phone, which most seniors continue to use. And then we have the smartphones, which most of the population is now beginning to use. There's an app for NFB Newsline that you can pull that app up and make application to the service. Once again, it is a free service, 24 hours a day. And for the seniors, most of the seniors read the most popular, the most popular section of the newspaper, and that's the obituaries. So, people like to stay in touch. Even as one subscriber told me, he wants to make sure that he's not in there. So, so it's a great service for students. It's a great service for business, people in business and everywhere else. So, Florence, you want to talk a little bit about the magazines that we have?
I love reading WebMD. That is a magazine that is included in NFB Newsline. There's magazines for people who are health conscious, also such as Shape Magazine. There's Reader's Digest, Ebony. There is a magazine, as I always mention, for everyone. So if you just love to read or you just love to be, staying informed, just pick up your phone, because I prefer I use my app. But a lot of seniors prefer the landline phone. Mm-hmm. So just pick up your phone and call into NFB Newsline. It's 24/7, 7 days a week.
Yeah, a nice audible service
it is.
Provided by the National Federation of the Blind.
And it's
also,
free.
Yeah, and also to add that we have a children's magazine in there, Stone Soup. And it's a very popular international magazine. So we highly recommend that you view the service, give us a call, and give our national office a call. You give us a call here locally in Indiana, and we can steer you as to how to use the service. So we're gonna take a short break, and we'll be right back with our very special guest today. She has a very compelling story to share, great information. You'll love her, so stay tuned.
I'm Danny Wayne Beamer, Program Manager of the Elder Blind Program at the Will Center in Terre Haute, Indiana. I introduce the NFB Newsline to seniors in 13 southwestern counties in Indiana. I also utilize the NFB Newsline for my radio station public affairs shows. The NFB Newsline. Experience it today.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
I use NFB Newsline when reading Hammond Northwest Times.
Using NFB Newsline, I read the Christian Science magazine.
Dad, you read Jerusalem Post too.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Live the life you want. Read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Welcome back to the show. Well, we have a very special guest today, Miss Mika Baugh. And Mika, welcome to our show.
Thanks, I'm happy to be here.
Now, Mika, we have a lot of things we would love to talk to you about. And first, however, because we emphasize NFB Newsline, I know that you are familiar with the service.
That's very true. I've been familiar with the service for a long time. I've actually been a subscriber since I was a teenager, which wasn't too long ago, but it feels like a long time to me, I guess. So I've used Newsline for various things. I've, taught some of my students how to use it in my career, and I think it's a great resource for folks of all ages and diversity, demographics and types of anything that people might need. They can probably find it on Newsline, which I think is great because it's super important for us as blind folks to have access to, not only newspapers and boring journals and things, but also sports scores and TV guide channels and different things like that folks that are in my generation and now even younger, it's hard to believe there's a generation behind me, but there is now, the things that they would be interested in as well.
Mm-hmm. It is a great tool.
To expound upon that a little bit, by using it, as a youth, you use the publications. That's very good to hear, because we as blind citizens need to know that literacy is still the tool to get us through. So that when you become an adult, as you progress through the school systems, you still have opportunities and to know where you can go for a job search, to where you can go and just find the necessary information to keep you literate. So let's talk about that, literacy. How did you lose your sight?
Well, I never really had it in order to lose it. So
Okay.
I was
Tell us
born.
about it.
Yeah, I was born blind. I
Okay.
have optic nerve hypoplasia, which basically means the optic nerves didn't develop, and so my eyes. Now, this is as I understand it. If there's a doctor out there watching, they may correct me. But as I understand it, my eyes are seeing everything that they need to, but the message isn't sort of getting transmitted to my brain correctly because the wiring is faulty, if you will. So I can see large things. I can see color, though sometimes I call one color another thing, and it's not. I'm not colorblind. I say I'm color confused because I do see color, but it's my own interpretation of the color, I suppose. So that's always kind of fun. But so I see large things. I mostly see out of my left eye. My right eye is there, I think, because you're supposed to have two eyes. It has hand motion, but that's really it. So I mostly just use my left. If I am going to use my vision for things, I really try to do things non-visually, because 90% of the time for me, that's going to be much more efficient.
Okay, where did you attend school at?
I attended the School for the Blind, Indiana School for the Blind, from the time I was in kindergarten until the time I graduated. And then as I was in middle school and high school, I also attended classes at the local public high school. They had a little bit more of a diverse offering of courses that they could, that I could experience. And so I took advantage of that, which I thought was a really great opportunity to sort of make sure that I had everything I needed as a blind student at the school, but then also to interact with sighted peers and to kind of experience things out in the quote real world by going to the public school, which really prepared me to be able to succeed in college.
Okay, so School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. At what grade or what age were you introduced to Braille?
When I was at the School for the Blind, I was introduced to Braille in 7th grade. I think I was either 12 or 13. My dad was a really great advocate, my mom as well, for making sure that I had all the tools that I needed in my toolbox to be able to succeed, because I do have some residual vision, and I had more when I was younger. I relied on print and large print. I thought I could read regular print. I'm sure that was funny with my nose in a book. But by the time I got a little bit older, my parents were more savvy than I was and decided that I really needed to learn Braille and make sure that I was able to use that later on if I needed it.
Now, you attended college. Where did you attend college?
I did my undergraduate work at IU Bloomington, which was fantastic. Go Hoosiers. And while I was there, I was on the rowing team, which was a great opportunity. I've always been an athlete, and I was happy to be able to take that into college. I thought after I graduated high school that I was done with athletics, and I got to college and that wasn't the case, so that was great. And then once I finished my degrees at IU, I took a break from school and worked for a little while, and then I came back to Indiana and went to IUPUI where I got my Master of Public Health.
Okay, so education has always been in your radar.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about how that was for you. Did you have to clear a lot of hurdles or red tape just to get into college? Because I'm sure there's some student or some parent that's wanted to know, how did you manage, or how did you initially get into college? Was it difficult for you?
I think it's important to remember that as blind people, there's always going to be a challenge or a hurdle, or I like to think of it like an opportunity to, change somebody's mind. And so, of course, I had to meet all the entrance requirements, the SAT scores and the essays and all of those sorts of things, which I was, happy to do. But then when I got there, I had to build a relationship with my professors, and I had to be an advocate for myself, and I had to demonstrate to them quickly and assertively, we'll say, that I was a competent individual and that I was worth their time, and that while I was, requesting these accommodations, they weren't things that I was trying to do less work, or I wasn't trying to, get by or anything. I was asking for things that would make me able to demonstrate my academic capacity in the same way that my peers were. So I had a couple of interesting experiences. I had a professor, this was the end of the semester, who suggested that I should just wear glasses and that would probably fix things. I was 20 years old at that time, so I was pretty sure that glasses weren't going to fix things by then, but that's okay. But most of my professors were really great, and I think that was because I demonstrated to them that I was, like I said, worth their time, and that I, as a blind person, had just as much capacity as anyone else in the class, and frankly, probably more in some cases. Of course, there were some people that were smarter than me, but I had gotten into the university on merit and not because I was a blind person. And I think that, demonstrating that to them and participating in community events and campus events and being visible on campus and being on an athletic team really said to them, hey, this person's just another, student on our roster.
Well, I'm certainly hoping that some student or some parent is being encouraged by your reality, because it is very encouraging. Now, you also became a member of the National Federation of the Blind as an advocate, and you're doing great things with that organization. How has that impacted your life?
So I attended my first NFB, National Federation of the Blind convention, when I was 14. Teenagers are kind of goofy, and I was one of them. It was goofy, and I first got to convention, and I said to myself, what are they doing? Why are they suing people? What is happening? Like, why do we don't need to be this mean. This is a 14-year-old's interpretation of what's going on. And I was loved into the organization by lots of amazing people, folks that are around and folks that aren't around still, and local folks and folks that are on the national level, and just lots of people were kind enough to take my youthful stubbornness and tenacity and help me to try to mold it into something that would be useful for the organization and useful for myself and useful for other blind folks. So, I took that energy and throughout the years was able to like I say, mold it to something that hopefully I can talk to parents on a good level. I can talk to teachers. I can talk to other educators. I'm an educator myself. So it's something where I had to be exposed to the organization and be a little bit surprised by some of the things that we do here, but also taken care of and mentored in such a way that now as I get older, I totally understand why we sometimes take the legal action that we do, and why most of the time we are so encouraging to each other, and we don't try to take legal action sometimes. So it's definitely been a process for me, and I'm really, really grateful for the folks that have helped me grow into what I hope to be a good federationist.
Well, and that you are. So we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit about parenting rights and some other issues surrounding our community of blindness and just our community at large. So stay tuned, we'll be right back.
With my failing eyesight, I'm not able to read regular newspapers, and I'm not able to keep up with obituaries.
I've been a homemaker all of my life, but since my vision has failed, I wish I could read my favorite magazines.
Have you heard of the NFB Newsline?
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show with our guest Mika Baugh. And Ms. Baugh, your reality is very interesting. You've faced some challenges, and still going to face some more other challenges as life proceeds. And you have been doing an awesome job with everything that you have been assigned to do. I'm saying that because I know that life is an assignment. Now let's talk more about you. Let's talk a little bit about your interests, your jobs. Let's see where you want to start.
Sure. Interests. It's hard to sometimes have personal interests because I have a family, and that's my main interest. And so I have a wife, and I have a 5-year-old son, and we have a almost 11-week-old son. So I haven't slept much, but that's okay. Hopefully I'm still making sense here. So when I'm not spending time with them, I really enjoy reading. I like being outside. I like playing goal ball, which is great. I used to be more athletic than I am now, but one of these days I'll get back to it, I think. So that's sort of me personally. I'm kind of just a regular person. Have a home and a yard and dishes to do and laundry to do, and the fact that I'm blind doesn't change any of that. And my kiddos want help with their homework, or they want to eat, or they need rock to sleep, and the fact that I don't see them doesn't affect that at all. So that's my personal life. Professionally, I'm in a really interesting position at the moment. I work at the Indiana School for the Blind, which is where I went to school, so it's kind of come full circle there, and I enjoy my position. I teach technology, and I have sort of made a difficult but exciting decision to transition to be a youth specialist at Baugh Enterprises. So right now I'm getting to spend some amazing time home with my family and our new baby, but come soon I'll be working at Baugh, and I'll still luckily get to serve the students at the School for the Blind, but I'll be transitioning away from there. And then I also do some work with a mentoring program in Texas. So.
Oh goodness, talk about not getting any sleep. Now, I want to ask you, now LGBTQ. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that, for people that are not coping with disabilities or blindness, they face a lot of challenges just being gay.
Yeah.
And do you seem to feel any different
additional
challenges? Any additional challenges? I mean, because I'm sure that you face days just as anybody else that's gay, and do you seem to think that there's any additional challenges with your being blind and married?
So I think that a good way to look at it is that blindness, we in the Federation view it as a characteristic, but frankly, sometimes society views it as a minority status or sort of a quote strike against you. And it's the same thing with, with any other minority marker. So whether you're in the LGBT community or whether you're a racial minority or an ethnic minority, you definitely face some challenges, and those challenges are unique to your minority status. We as blind people, the three of us, face certain challenges. You as Black folks face certain challenges that I don't face, even though we're all blind. I as a gay person face certain challenges that you guys don't face. And so I think that there's definitely some parallels, but I don't want to take, people's unique and authentic experiences away from them. But I think that learning how to come to terms with my blindness. I don't know that I ever came to terms with it because I've always been blind, but learning how to come to terms with that and navigate the world as a successful, competent blind person is very similar for me. Navigating the world as a successful, if you will, normal gay person. And so, I have a wife and a family, and it might look a little different, but everybody's family looks a little different these days. And sometimes we get looks when we hold hands in the mall, but sometimes they're smiles and sometimes they're not, and that's okay. And it's the same as a blind person. Sometimes I get, great service walking into a restaurant as a blind person, and other times I get, oh my gosh, you can't use a glass because you might break it. So, I guess I would say that there's definitely parallels, and I'm glad to have both parts of, both characteristics be part of me, because I think it makes me who I am, and it makes me pretty well able to understand other folks' experience. So, even though I'm not a racial minority, I like to think that in some ways I can stand alongside folks and, help them with their oppression, not taking their experience and making it my own, but being able to use what I have and be able to stand up and make sure that, the world looks a little bit more inclusive and a little bit more fair and equal to all of us.
Now, dealing with parenting rights, did you run into any issues as being a parent that's blind and also a parent that's gay?
That is a great question. I don't know if I would call it issues, but my wife and I always joke that we're very visible, we're very conspicuous. We walk around with, me with either a cane or a dog, depending on the day, and she and I are together, obviously, and we've got 2 little kids. One of them's a baby and one of them's a 5-year-old. So I don't know that we've experienced any issues based on intersectionality, based on being blind and gay, that I wouldn't have experienced as a blind person individually or as a gay person individually. But I definitely think that us being out in the world, in the community, makes the community a richer place, because people do have the experience of us. Not that we're anything cool to see, but the fact that we're just existing is good for people, because they see that blind folks can be competent. I can parent my children just as well, even though my wife is sighted and she's sitting right there. And B, that, we happen to both be females, but we're a regular family.
Now, have you personally experienced any particular questions? Let's say when you take your child to the doctor, you're being blind, a blind parent. For some people, for instance, who are blind, take their child to the doctor, and the doctor seems to be more concerned about how they're taking care of their child than the child.
I've been very, very fortunate and very blessed that I haven't had folks in authority, so your doctors, your social workers, question my parenting. And I think that some of that is sheer luck, frankly, and some of that is also that because I'm aware that that is a possibility, an unfortunate possibility, I take care to make sure that my son's clothes, well, both of my sons now, their clothes match, they're clean, their hair is taken care of, that there's nothing about them that would make someone in authority question my parenting, which is unfortunate because, a lot of people send their kids out that dress themselves, or they've got like crumbs on their face or something because they're kids. And I wish that I had sort of that freedom to be able to do that all the time. But I recognize that that's a privilege as a blind person that I may not have, because I have to make sure that I put on, not a show, but I have to make sure that I give a good impression.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, it's... we're going to take us a short break and come to the conclusion of our show. But I would love to have you back and have your wife back on with the children. And we'll take a short pause, and we're going to come right back, and hopefully we can have my friend Finley come on. So we'll be right back here shortly.
The National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
Welcome back to our show where we have our guest, Miss Mika Baugh, and we have a special guest, little Finley.
Yeah, I call him Lee. So, having a newborn into your family, tell me about it. He's a star already, so, we're going to make sure you get your little minute worth of fame, okay, Finley? And, but yes, it had to be a great addition to you and your wife.
He is. He's everything, that we wanted. We've got 2 beautiful kids. The other one's in school getting his education, and this guy is, he's just always happy, smiling. He's just brightened everything up and brought us together, so we'll keep him, I guess.
Yeah, because I know each time I've been around him, he's such a calm child, and he's so mannerable, seems like, even at that age, so... I know the future, you're just like any other mom. You want the future for your child.
Absolutely, absolutely. You should come over at 3 a.m. He's not calm then. But yeah, we're just living life like everybody else, and blindness is not what holds me back, and we live the life that we want to live, and whatever that looks like on each day is what it looks like, and I'm just blessed and pleased to have the skills and the network and the resources of the Federation and of my family and everything to help me live, the life that I want to live and be the person that I want to be and raise these guys to be good humans.
Well, I tell you what, this has been a joy for us, and we want to thank you once again for coming on to the show.
Thank you, Mika.
And thank you so very much, Finley. We just want to thank you. And, if you want to learn more about the National Federation of the Blind, you can go to NFB.org and learn more about our organization and our parenting rights and a lot of other issues that we are addressing right now throughout the country. So thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week. No pun intended. Yes, right, Finley. And we'll see you then. Take good care. Way to go, Finley. That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.